Doing it now.
And changing it over to Rob.
Okie dokie. Let me just make sure we're sharing the correct screen. So, can you see the PowerShell not in presenter mode? The
Yes.
PowerPoint, even.
Yes. Yep, you're good.
Excellent. Okay, hello everybody. My name's Rob, and I'm going to talk about reducing your DBA's context switching. There we go. Quick questionnaire. That's me. Me and Chrissy down at the bottom. I'm a DBA. I work in the UK, as you can probably tell by the accent. I love PowerShell, automation, and SQL, which makes a nice little acronym. My website is SQLDBA but my Twitter, unfortunately, due to Twitter's 15-character limit, is SQLDBA with beard, so there's no A. When I first changed it, I became SQLDBA with a bear, which made me laugh, and I kind of thought I might keep it for a minute, but in the end we thought probably best to go back with the beard. I'm a speaker at SQL Saturdays at the SQL Relay and at the PowerShell conference. I'm involved in the SQL Southwest user group down here in the UK. We meet in Exeter every fourth Monday, so please come along. One of the organisers for the SQL Saturday Exeter and one of the officers of this virtual chapter. So today we're going to talk about a problem that we have for our DBAs. Questions. Managers and project managers and compliance and auditors and clients, other DBAs, change managers, they all want to know how many do we have? Where are the instances, databases, client data? What is it that we have? Which ones do we have? When were they last something? And this is just a quick story about the way that this whole thing started. I'd become a team manager for an organization, and one of the security guys came up to see me 2 or 3 weeks into me starting, and he came up and said, "Hey Rob," he said, "how many servers are there in Bolton?" So I thought, oh, okay, hang on a minute, is it important? I said, yes, I need to know straight away. I've got this report I've got to send back to group in the States, and we need to know. So okay, well, hang on a second, give me a couple of minutes, I'll come back and tell you. So I turned to the team and I said, team, how many servers have we got in Bolton? And it turned out we didn't really know, because we'd taken over a few companies, we had different naming conventions, we thought we maybe knew where some stuff was. So it took us about half an hour. It took 3 people about half an hour to go and find out what was where and how it was, which ones were in Bolton. So I went back to him. I said, "Hey John," I said, "there's 55 servers in Bolton." He said, "Oh, all right, great, thank you." He says, "While you've been gone," he said, "what I need to know," he said, "I've been asked how many of those have got XP Command Shell enabled." So I went, oh, right, okay. So I go back to our office and I speak to the team, and we quickly run through those 55 servers. Of course, we could use PowerShell just to quickly loop through a list of servers, because now we had that list. We grabbed which ones had got XP Command Shell enabled. Well, actually, we didn't. We counted how many had got XP Command Shell enabled, because that's what we were asked. Went back to John. I said, "John, there's 19. So, "Oh, great, thanks." I says, "Is that everything?" He said, "Yep, no worries." So I went back, carried on doing my work. About an hour later, John comes up to my desk. He says, "You know those servers you've got?" He said, "In Bolton?" I said, "Yes." He said, "And 19 of them have got XP Command Shell enabled true?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Oh." He said, "How many of those are SQL 2005? Oh, right. Do you need to know this now? said, yes. I said, I'm in the middle of doing something busy. He said, no, I really need to know now because this report, it's due in 30 minutes. I've got to know. So, right, okay, hang on a second. So I went back and had a look, and I said, oh, only one. So I went back and I said, there's just one. It's this one, just in case you need to know. And it's got these client databases on it, just in case you need to know. I thought, I've got this nailed. Oh, great. Is that everything? Yep, that's everything. Brilliant. So I walked away again and came back, and about 30 minutes later he said, Rob, he said, I need to know what version every server in Bolton with XP command shall enable this. Big sigh. Right? So we stopped what we were doing and we got him that information and we gave it to him and he sent it off to group, and that was all brilliant. And it got me thinking, and I thought, there's got to be a better way of doing this. We've got to have a better way of enabling this information to be easily gathered. And that's what led to me developing this solution and then to developing this, this session. And the other thing we did is we wanted to replace the old ways we had of doing things. So this is the output for one of my favorite PowerShell scripts that I used to have, which is to take a list of servers and go through it every morning and create an Excel sheet with green is good and red is bad and grey is we're not quite sure, of all the agent jobs that had run that day. And the DBA team at the place I was working at that time used to get that emailed, or a link to that emailed to them every morning. So when we came in the morning, you could very quickly scroll through and see, oh, there's a red one. We can quickly go through. But do we really want to be saving this information on a file share, on a file server somewhere, and making use of Excel? Could we not make use of some of the more modern ways of doing things? And this is a screenshot that pretty much, it's about a third of what was on a report that used to sit at the back of our office on a big screen. And it's interactive. And what it shows is the number of agent jobs that ran. So that's the blue columns. And then the averages for the failures. So, oh, let's not click that button. Let's click that button instead. So we can tell that the rolling 7-day average is the green line, and the rolling 30-day average is the blue line, and the red line is the number of failed jobs for that day. So as you can see in this example, on the 23rd of August, the SAN failed, and a significant number of jobs also failed. And it made it nice and easy to say to the manager or the director when he came in, look, this is how we're doing. We're doing well, our average is getting better. Look, this is the impact of this SAN outage or this network issues or when something went wrong. And because it was interactive, he used to like to come and play with it and click and see, generate the view that it was most useful for him. Okay. So now we've got a situation where we've got a lot of data that we can automatically gather that we're happy is valid and accurate. And we've created ourselves a buffet. So anybody can walk up, get their tray, and pick up the sausages and the pork pies, or maybe they want salad and fruit. They can go and get the data that they require, and they don't need to interrupt the DBA from, reading SQL Server Central or looking at DBA reaction. Sorry, obviously doing important work that we all must get on to help the business to do what they need. How do we do it? I'm a SQL Server DBA, so the obvious place to store the data was in SQL Server. I love PowerShell. It's my hobby as well as my job. So that was the obvious tool to use to gather and automate the gathering of that information. Power BI had just been released with one of the latest versions, and one of my friends who's a BI developer had done a demonstration on open data and had said in that, it's so easy even Rob could do it. So I thought, okay, let's have a look and we'll prove if it is easy enough for even Rob to do it. So I found it a challenge to learn some things, but the tool itself very easy to use. But most importantly are the other two boxes. It's the local knowledge and it's the pieces of paper. In the environment where I first put this in place, there was a DBA who'd been working there for 30 years. And he had knowledge in his head that nobody else knew. So he knew that even though your naming convention might make you think that this particular server is in Exeter and that particular server belongs to the Eagles and is in London, he knew that those things weren't correct. So if you're going to go down this process, there is definitely a need for you to spend some time understanding and identifying the people who know that knowledge or where that knowledge is stored to be able to accurately put it into your database so that then you can correctly report on it and provide the most value to your business and to the people that are going to self-serve the data. Because the last thing you want is for the data that they pick up to be incorrect, because then, as we know, they'll lose trust in your data and in your methods of doing it. So how do we do it? There's a manual part, and the manual part fills this table, which I called instance list. And in the instance list, we needed to put the server name and the instance name, the port. At that moment, I put in the AG as a true or false. But we also have an inactive flag. So the inactive flag is used for those servers that have been decommissioned. The SQL 2005 boxes that everybody's getting rid of because they're out of support, or the SQL 2000 or older boxes if you still have them that you've managed to upgrade. Because having information about those servers is still important to the business. They still need to know. It still enables you as a DBA to show progress. Look, boss, 2 months ago we had 30 SQL 2005 instances. Now we're only down to 5. We've got an environment column. The environment is whatever it is that you call it. It could be production, test and development. It could have names like UAT or DQC or DAT. There are a whole number of ways, but it's whichever way that is useful for you to understand and be able to locate information. There's a location, because location was important to us. We had servers in 12 different data centers, so we needed to know which ones were in which data center. And we have not contactable. And not contactable is for the servers that you cannot get to from your normal machine or from your normal environment, but maybe the ones that are holding highly confidential data. Maybe it's your PCI environment, or it's some health data or personal data in some way. Those are often held in on servers that you can only get to if you go onto a junk box and then you tap in a special code and then you go through a certain IP address to a certain place, and there's a number of hoops that we quite often have to jump to for those. But again, we still might want to have that information available to be able to report on. That manual bit will very soon become much more simple, in that we have created a sibling of DBA tools. Christy Lemaire began this awesome module that enables you to migrate SQL instances and also has a lot of best practice commands available for you. So we've created DBA reports. Unfortunately, it's not quite ready to be released to everybody in the public, but we're at a point where we really would like you to come and join in the same way as people join in with DBA tools. So there's a website, we've got a Trello board, and we'll open up a Slack channel in the next hour or two to enable people to be able to come and discuss and make suggestions and assist, contribute. Please come and
It was actually just made public, so people can join now.
There we go. See, my beautiful colleague has already made it public and ready for us, and we'll have the code available on GitHub very soon. Oops, did I just jump a slide? Yes, I did. So this is how it works. In the bottom left, the DBA team add the instances. It goes into the instance list table, and there are a set of PowerShell scripts that run via agent jobs that use that instance list table as their source of truth and go and gather information to populate a number of tables. Tables like the server information, the operating system level information, your SQL info table, which holds the instance level information about max memory, ad hoc workload enabled, enabling to answer the questions about what policies have been set, how is your instance in compliance with the things that you need for your environment. We've got a databases table which will pick up any new databases. It'll mark inactive any databases that you have dropped, and then gather all the information that you'd expect to be able to see if you right-clicked and did properties in SSMS. And an agent job detail and an agent server detail table, one to gather all of the information about each agent job that's run, and one for a roll-up for per server level, per instance level roll-up. And once we've got that information in those tables, we're DBAs. So we could use SQL Server Management Studio to query the tables, and we can allow developers, or maybe there's a manager who still thinks he knows T-SQL, who you feel is capable of using that. He might use Management Studio to query the table and get the information. Of course, we can use Windows PowerShell. We can now filter our commands against any servers that we wish, because we can do them by name, by version, by environment, by location, by any combination of those to enable us to run commands against things. So if we need to quickly update XP command shell enabled and turn it off, we could pick all of our development environment servers for a certain client and iterate through them and update them with PowerShell nice and quickly. And the self-service, the buffet type of thing, we can use Power BI. You could use SSRS as well, but for the moment we're just going to talk about Power BI. And that means that our lovely users on the right, and in this scenario, our users are generally people related to the IT division. The change managers, the project managers, the compliance, auditors, client account managers, those sort of people. They now don't need to bother the DBA team. They can just go straight to the Power BI and gather the information themselves. So, enough with the slides. Let's have a quick demo. So, if we have a look here in Management Studio, you can see we've been working on DBA reports. For the moment, we're going to concentrate on this DBA database table because that's where I've got my demo data. And what we can do is run some queries and count how many servers we've got by environment. Or maybe we want to know the size of the databases in total across the entire estate. How many servers? 147, 2014 databases, and just over 10 terabytes of data. And we can make that as complicated or as complex as we need to. Maybe we need to know the version and the edition. Brilliant. Let's try that one. Oh. Or the number of agent jobs. Okay, that's better. Total number of agent jobs that we've got per environment, per location, all through T-SQL. Now we've got that information. We can use the Power BI desktop. It's a free download. It doesn't cost you anything. You can go and grab it from powerbi.com. And if we look at our queries, we can see that we're connecting to a server and a database, and we're running a SQL statement to gather some information. Once we've got that sorted, we simply close and apply, and now it's going to apply the changes to that query and gather me the information. And boom, there we go. As you can see, that looks very similar to the picture I showed earlier, and this was in fact a screen that we had on the back of the wall running Power BI desktop, scrolling through a number of different reports. And this is an environment slicer, so we can just look at the production environments, and we can see that over the last 7 days we've failed 7 jobs on average. And today our failed total average is 1, which is very clever. My data is obviously slightly screwed when I've manipulated it. But hopefully you can see how a manager in particular is able to click on things and everything changes. And they really like to see that. And in my experience, I totally love going and clicking on these things, working around what's going on. But from the DBA team point of view, we can now very quickly go click on the production environment. These are the 3 agent jobs that we need to concentrate on. First, we need to go and make sure that the index optimizer on SQL Server IP01 it's failed. We need to go and deal with that straight away. We can say to our manager, look at this bottom panel, you can see how well we're doing or how badly we're doing, and the impact of any sort of estate-wide issues. You can very quickly and easily add yourself your information. On the right here you can see we've got our 2 queries, and if we grabbed one of those, it will very quickly just turn into a table, he says, without it working. Let's go there like that. And suddenly we've got a column chart, because that's what Power BI has decided is the best option for this. And under here, under visualizations, we can very quickly change to different types of charts to find the things that we use. When I do this talk in front of SQL Saturdays, I quite often will make the joke about no food charts are allowed, and point out that I'm a DBA. The best way to get your DBA's heart is to provide them with sugary goodness, so I will use donut charts. When you have your report set up in the way that you want it, you can stop there. That is then enabling you to provide that information. Or you just click this publish button. When you click the publish button, it will then take you to sign in for powerbi.com, and once you've signed in, you get something that looks like this if it loads my Internet is a little slow today. So now we've got a report which looks exactly the same as the one we had before, because it is, and we can click interact with it in the same way. And if we decided we liked this particular visual on the top right, the gauge, there's a pin button, and you click on the pin, it will take you, say, would you like to put it in an existing dashboard, or would you like to create a new dashboard? And once you've gone through all of the visualizations that you wish to have on a dashboard, you can end up with this. And this is the thing that you can now share. There's a share button up here, and we can now grant access to a number of email addresses. So we could do Chrissy and Aaron. It'll check that your emails are valid, obviously. You can include a message. Here's the bit that, as a DBA, I'm a little bit wary about. By default, it ticks this checkbox, allow recipients to share your dashboard. Now, in some environments and for some people, the information and the names of databases or clients or servers or locations might be confidential. So just be careful if that's going to affect you. Let's have a look. I'll show you another report that I built. This was to go by version, and again, this one was very popular with the managers because he could look at the SQL 2005 and see which location they were in, and a little bit of other information about them, and a slicer to go by environment. So we could decide all of these pre-prod environments, servers. Most of them are in Manchester, and there's a few in Bolton. Most of them are SQL 2014, and a couple of the ones in Bolton are SQL 2012. So here's our SQL level information. We've got a number of instances as a nice tree map. We've got instances by version as a donut. We've got a map showing us where our servers, our instances are. And that is picked up simply from a column that has the name of the city. There's nothing, no need to put in coordinates or anything like that. We've just got the name of the city in there. But now we can allow this to go to our security person, and when they come along and they ask the question, how many servers? There's 145 servers. But we need to know how many servers in Bolton. 55. With XP command shell enable true, 19. Oh, but he needed it by version. Oh, but he didn't want a bar chart. So there as a table. So as you can see, if you can imagine, the security person has the ability to go to that web page and type that query into the top. In approximately 20 seconds, he's got all of the information that he required for his report that was very important to him. And the DBA team have done precisely no work at all for him. We've done a lot of work in the setting up and the checking and making sure the agent jobs are running, adding the instances into the instance list table, making sure that we're gathering the information that's required to answer the questions for all the people who are going to be asking us. But the impact on our days dramatically reduced once we brought this into place. Because instead of it taking him, I would say probably 4.5 hours to get that information, and disturbing between 1 and 3 DBAs at the time, he could grab it in 30 seconds. And suddenly this became much more useful for other people just as well. So it's a natural language. So show me server name, collation, and is full text installed in Exeter. What we're going to get? Well, list of server names, a list of collections, list of is full text installed. Let's just add into here location, just to show that we really are in Exeter. All right, he's looked at all the information about Exeter. Let's have a look in Bristol now. The beauty of Power BI is that things that worked in demos a few weeks ago sometimes don't work anymore. It is very good at picking up spelling mistakes, and as you can see, it's very good at giving you suggestions as to what next you want to look. But we've now managed to get in Bristol. And perhaps we want to add something to our dashboard. So we could do how many servers do we have by version as a streamer. And if we like that, up on the top right we've got a pin visual, which would enable us to do the same thing, pin it into our dashboard, and it's been pinned into the dashboard. And if we come back down here and have a look, it's one of these two. I'm not sure which. I think it's probably this one here. But these are now customizable. We can, if Rob can use his mouse correctly, we can make them bigger, or we can pick them up and move them into different places, and basically design our dashboard in a way that enables the best view of the data for the people that are going to be looking at it. If we have a look in our databases dashboard, there's a nice, quick, big, easy information about our database estate, but we can ask questions such as what location are Metallica? Doesn't quite always give you all of the information that you want. The answer to that question is actually just Exeter, but it's giving you a little bit more. But if you can imagine that the Metallica's account manager comes in and says, actually, I want to know what are the database names and size and location for Metallica, and there it is straight away, straight to his fingertips. He knows that you can see when I obfuscated the data that this database was based on, I ran out of ideas as to how to name my databases. So I named them all name of database and a number. But you can see that he can very quickly pick up the information that he wants, change it into bar charts or column charts, donuts. Won't do donuts because we've got too many things. The other thing that happened was that a data center needed to be turned off completely. They needed to do some UPS work, and the question that was asked to the technology teams was, who is going to be affected by this, and how can we plan it so that we can ensure that we don't affect any of our clients during their use times for our database, for our service completely as a whole. And obviously the team that look after the servers and the team that look after the applications, and a lot of other teams were involved in this question and getting together this plan and how to answer it. And it was nice and simple for us as a DBA team, because we could do this. So we could say, there we go, there's your list of clients who are in Exeter. Or perhaps it was the ones in Southampton. And we'll very quickly filter out the right information for these people. And then as a DBA team manager who was answering questions, this again was for a client, and the question was, when was the last backup date for the Eagles? Hang on a minute. If this was real data, then somebody would need to be losing their jobs. If our last backup date was 30th of August 2015, then perhaps we're in a little bit of trouble. But it's just because I haven't updated that field when I've created this data set. So maybe we also need to know the server name and the instance name. And I'd give that to my junior DBA and say, hang on a minute, go and have a look at this server in this instance, because these the last backup date for some of these databases, database name, there we go, name of database 312 has not been backed up since 20 past midnight on the 30th of August, junior DBA. Please can you go and work out why that's not happening and make it right very quickly. So that's the Power BI side of things. And what I'm going to show you now is some of the work that we've been doing on the DBA reports. And this is how we are getting our information for our database table. So we've got some parameters that are automatically pre-filled as we do the install. And then we know that we're inserting into the databases table. And what we do is we initialize ourselves a data table. And what that does is it goes to this database table and creates a data table ready for use. To gather the last used, we use this query by somebody whose name just completely ran out of my brain, to look at the last user seek and scan and look up on the indexes from DB index usage stats, because that was the easiest way we found of getting that information. We pick ourselves up a date checked. We get all of our instances from our SQL Server, from our database holding our all of our instances, which is for this one would be a DBA reports database. And we loop through them and we connect to them, and then we look at each database in server databases, and if we've already got a record, then we just mark a flag update equals false. And we add this data into our data table, And it's all the sort of information that you'd expect to see. So the name, is it auto-close? Is it accessible? What's the index space usage? Is it mirror enabled? When was the last backup date? Who's the owner? And then we bulk insert it using TVP. All of this is automatically generated. Here is our DBA reports test database. And you can see we've got some table types and we've got some stored procedures. So here is our table type for our databases. Very simple. And here is our stored procedure. Insert into the databases, select this information from our TVP, update. And that's what update if our flag is update, and insert if our flag is there we go. So that's our DBA reports. As I said, it's just not quite ready to come out to the public yet, but we are opening it up ready for people to come and give us their contributions. We want to know what it is that you want and ideas. And anybody that wants to come and join Chrissy and Claudio and Jason and Andy and Dan, who's missing from the thing, apologies Dan, please come and join. You will find a website at dbareports.io and Trello board, and as Chrissy said, the Slack channel is open and ready for people to come and join the conversation.
Hey Rob, is your local copy of DBA reports available for a quick install to show them how that works, about installing it and then just executing a single command to add the new server?
We can give it a go. I'm happy to give it a go. There is a possibility that it might not
totally
work, but we can give it a go. Let's see what we've got here. So what you would do is simply import the module. You'll get a warning that we're using some unapproved verbs. So we have slapped our wrists for that. Let's see. Let's do a posh VC and a posh VC and a push VC there. So very simply, the command that we would use is install DBA reports. We pick our SQL Server, which is going to be on my Surface Book, and give it a database name and an install path where the scripts are going to live, and we're going to create some agent jobs. So let's cross our fingers and see what we get. Would you like to create a database named Posh VC Test DBA Reports on Rob Surface Book? Yes, please. Yes, I would. That would be brilliant. Would I like to create a proxy right now? No, actually, I don't want to create a proxy. Looking good so far. So we've created ourselves a folder. Let's have a look. And it was C temp. There we go. Push DBA reports. Here are our scripts that we're going to use. Let's drag that in there. As you can see, we have pre-filled our SQL Server and our database and our log file folder. We've got some information here that says this is the SQL Server that you've used. This is the username using Windows authentication. Here's where our config file is. Let's have a quick look at that. Still picked up the username. I've got which SQL Server, where our database is, and we haven't passed in a credential. This will be used for many of the other commands that we've got to make sure it's using the right information. We see which version of the database we've got and our install paths. As you can see, it's created us some jobs, it's scheduled them. Let's have a look. Unfortunately, we're pushing my my laptop to its limit because I've got plenty of things open. So here's our Posh VC test reports database. And it would be no quicker if I tried to do this with PowerShell, unfortunately. There are all of our tables. Let's see how quickly. Click the wrong button. Whilst that's waiting to come up, I'll hopefully show you how simple it is to add a server. Let's remove that. So add DBR server to inventory. I'm going to put it on this SQL instance. Sorry, let me start that again. We're going to use this SQL instance, Rob Surface Book, port of 1433. It's going to be in the prod environment, and the location of it is, let's change that to Posh VC. As I expected, I have a bug in my code which makes it think that this server has already been added, even though it hasn't. So it's a real pain.
When it will work, it's going to be beautiful and easy.
When it works, it is so gorgeous. I wish I'd taken a video of it on Sunday when it was just going like a dream. But as you can see, we've got some agent jobs here, and if we have a quick look in one of these, we pre-fill our description. We don't, if we don't use our mouse properly. We pre-fill our description so that you always can see what's going on. This is one of my favorite bugbears, is if you have a description box, please put some information in it, because the guy who comes along next to do your job when you've left, when this job fails, that's probably going to be the first thing he's going to do, is open it up to see what it's doing. If we can put a nice thing in here that says this job will return all the agent job information about the servers in the DBA instance list table in the Posh VC test DBA reports database, and it logs to ctemp Posh VC DBA report /logs, suddenly the girl has got all the information they need to go and help them troubleshoot it if something goes wrong. We created ourselves a category called DBA reports collection jobs, and we're just going to run this particular PowerShell script, and it's as simple as that. But we install automatically and configure all of these jobs ready to gather you all the information that you need. And I'm going to jump back to here. And I'm going to say, this is, you're in the PowerShell virtual chapter of PASS. It's very close to my heart. It's something I strongly believe in. PowerShell and SQL Server are getting a lot more love at the moment, and I truly believe that you should start using PowerShell if you're not using it already, and carry on using it and use it to do more things if you're already using it. If you want to catch up on any of the videos, any of the sessions that we've got, you can watch the videos on YouTube, sqlps.io/video, and if you subscribe on there, then you'll get notified whenever any new videos come out. This video will be up on there shortly. Of course, we're going to say the SQL Server Community Slack. If you go to sqlps.io/Slack, then you'll be able to join. It's an auto join to be able to come into Slack and come and talk to the meant to look up the number of people we've got there, but it was certainly more than 500 members. And there's a whole number of different channels to talk about many different things, including now the DBA reports and of course the DBA tools. I do truly love that picture. Somebody spent a lot of time and thought into doing that. But do we have any questions? Hopefully Aaron or Chrissy or somebody is looking at questions.
Yeah, we had a couple questions, but they have so far been answered. We did have a request for a feature, so I asked Amit to join us in the Slack channel to get more details about that. The session will be available to watch again if you go to sequelps.io/YouTube. That's our YouTube channel, and we're pretty quick to post them, so it'll be up within the hour.
Absolutely, and if I just do this is the Slack client. If you come and join us, you'll have a lot of channels. You'll be able to add yourself to various channels and then come and talk and communicate with all the people that are here. And as you can see, we've got this virtual chapter Q&A channel as well. So if you're watching this video again, or if you are think of a question in an hour's time, jump into the Slack and put it in here, and we will answer it.
We just hit 700 people on the Slack channel.
Sorry, what was that number again, Aaron? 700. 700. Wow, that's amazing. And talking about all sorts of things. Just jump into the SSRS, and there's people talking about how do we get and run reports from scheduled job. So all of this thing, whatever it is that fits what you need. If you would like to have some input into the Trello PowerShell to provide feedback to Microsoft as to which features are next and to enable them to be upvoted, you can go there. Or if you need some help with PowerShell, there's a PowerShell help channel full of fantastic people who will gladly help you to do things that you need to do in PowerShell. If you've got a question, I had a question today. I could not achieve something. I was able to jump into the Slack and ask a lot of people who weren't able to help me on that occasion. But we're always lots of people in here able to answer.
All right.
So I've been Rob. That's how to get in touch with me if you wish to. You may get in touch with me. I promise you that I will get back to you. It won't necessarily be within 5 minutes because, of course, everybody's got, work and life and families to deal with. But I promise you, I guarantee I will get back to you. That's me done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Okay. Thanks everyone for joining us this month. Rob's actually already covered all the things that I needed to cover at the end. So we'll see you again next month. And please do follow us and keep track with what the new PowerShell items out there on Connect are, and please continue to upvote them so that we can continue the momentum that we've got started. Anything else, Chrissy?
That is it. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Talk to you all next month.